In the beginning, Telemann created the alpha brick. His children copied it over and over to create everything in the universe. But you probably already know all that. But what you might not know is that Flufflefunz is the reincarnation of Shedletsky. Okay, so you all probably know that Shedletsky is Telemann reborn due to the events of Beck and Masters. But it's a bit of a leap to say that Telemann's next incarnation would be a little deer guy. But it's not outrageous to say that he was reborn again after he died. I mean, he's reincarnated as a mortal before, you know? Anyways, after the events of Beck and Masters, Shedletsky sealed the brick away in a hidden location and is guarded by the spirits of those who won the Blox Awards, the primordial devs. So then, how did a silly little deer obtain the alpha brick? Well, I'll tell you the exact same way that Alex did. He just walked in and took it. Primordial devs kind of stink at the job. Go figure, they were developers first. Protectors of the brick they didn't even know existed until they died second. Though because he possesses the alpha brick, and because of the events following his taking of the alpha brick, the Alex incident never happens in this timeline. It'll make sense later, trust me. After Flufflefunz obtained godlike powers, he spent his time collecting mean animals that would lose relevance in a year or two, according to him. At this point in time, he really had no idea of just how strong he really was and how powerful his powers are. By the time he had collected all the mean animals he wanted, he had fully regained the memories of his past life and decided to remodel his old church into the Flufflefunz house. The two locations share tons of similarities, most so in the fact that the terrains contain a person which is drawn on the building featured in the art of the Terrarians. But an important detail is the fact that the Flufflefunz house actually can search Shedletsky from your deck since he costs 7 studs. This is actually kind of huge, as it implies there could very well be a connection between the two, which is why I believe the funhouse is actually just a remodeling of the old building, rather than a completely unrelated building. It still wants to support what it was originally built for. It still wants to support Shedletsky. During its operation, Fluffle's constant ego that he held and showed to the world via his funhouse eventually spawned a cult called the Flufflefunz Fan Club, not too dissimilar to that of Shedletsky's old cult, with Chicken Duck Bird and Chicken Goose Bird. Eventually, perhaps something changed in him, or maybe somebody told him he was weak. He went on an uncontrollable power trip, with his reality warping godlike powers that warped the Flufflefunz house into the place we see on the inside the mind of Fluffle train card. After his power trip, he came out with a proper understanding of his powers, and he was now able to alter time itself. Using his power, he erased the Flufflefunz fan club from existence. The presence, entire existence of a certain person, and he took their place in the timeline, which is represented in-game by the fact those cards don't exist anymore. He stands still, holding the alpha brick, contemplating it all. If he could do anything he wanted, just like that, does that make all his actions meaningless? Well, he can alter time, so he can make all his actions meaningless. You can make all his actions have more meaning than everyone else's actions, but it's kind of meaningless. He lost his will to live. But being a god now, because of the alpha brick, he decides that he shall destroy the alpha brick, allowing him to lose his powers, at the cost of the universe's life. But wait, how could someone whose powers are derived from the alpha brick outright destroy it? Well, Telemann created the alpha brick, meaning he could certainly destroy it. That backs my theory that Flufflefunz is the reincarnation of Shedletsky. The only way he could have destroyed it is if he was Telemann. Shedletsky is also able to easily destroy the brick and the universe, as implied by the biome of Alpha Brick's ceiling. Acolytes beg for dragons to purge the world. The broken and despaired beg nightmares to end it. It would have been easy for Shedletsky to give into those demands. Now, what about temporal halo? Wasn't the result of the Alpha Brick shattering that time and space were shattered too? The universe still existed. Well, yes. However, Flufflefunz didn't shatter the Alpha Brick. He destroyed it entirely. Therefore, also destroying time and space entirely. Except him. It was an eternity and an instant for Flufflefunz because time doesn't exist anymore. He wished he didn't destroy the universe as he had, but there was nothing but himself. Now that makes his actions even more meaningless. This only made his depression way worse. And after what could have just been a day or the combined lifespan of everything that ever had and ever will live combined, that is a lot of years, his wish came true. He managed to, with his own power, with his own willpower, he erased his last action, restoring the universe. But he also erased every other action of his. He erased his entire past. Flufflefunz was last seen on the timeline on the gambling planet Javion, gambling with soulsearch. They were called the Life Debtors. I'm sure this isn't the last time we're going to see them on the timeline, but it's the last time we've seen them for now. Flufflefunz currently spends his time these active days, in Dualshire playing a game known as Blox cards. He causes a lot of misrememberings because he happens to share a name with another guy, also named Flufflefunz. However, there are key differences between the two. For one, they are literally different people. One of them lived and died before Shedletsky ever existed. Secondly, the older one, the one that lived and died before Shedletsky, was a gun fanatic who inspired the likes of Jesus. The only link the two have is the Flufflefunz of our story had parents who decided to name their child, which was born with a defect that caused him to have deer antlers and be half deer, after the trigger-happy masked warrior who had fake deer antlers as part of their costume. One can easily see how this would create a ton of confusion, hence all the alt arts. FYI, alt arts are considered misrememberings in Blox Cards lore. There's even an alt art of the original Flufflefunz, like the older one, the gun fanatic, with the Flufflefunz of our story in it. So it's proof that at least one person got the two mixed up, or don't even think the original one exists. But hey, that's just a theory, a Blox theory. Thanks for watching. Oh my god, that was